Hey guys, welcome to our channel. So we've been decoding REM Losing My Religion. I apologize that I haven't got a video out for a couple days, but like I said, I've been busy. We've been working on a few things. Haven't had a lot of time, but we're hoping to change that to where there is more time, even when there isn't time, if that makes any sense. So we're working on it, but we got our variance percent, and that was only 2.1% variance for what we calculated. All right. And we put it in the chart. And 2.1%, again, isn't all that much. It's not under a percent, but 2.1%. If there was a 2.1% chance of thunderstorms, you wouldn't cancel your fishing trip or even think about it. Okay. It's nothing. And I've estimated, and I'm not so sure how far off I am, that it would take about a 25% variance to where about a quarter of the song was different to raise eyebrows of other people outside the Mandela Effect community. That's what I think. I could be wrong, but we haven't got there yet. Our highest has only been like 8%, maybe even 7 something. I don't know. I'd have to look at our other charts, guys. But anyway, set enough, change to set it up, and if you cross off the S because it's still in set it up, you cross off the I because it's still in set it up. You cross off the E because it's still in set it up. You cross off the U because it's still in set it up right here. Then you're left with A, D, N, O, G, H, T, T, P. And that happened twice. So we brought that down twice. Now the thing of this is, after you get past the overlap, it starts to repeat. Unless we were to rearrange the letters, which I'm not willing to do right now, and we do have a suspect now. Now I'm going to tell you the algorithms are hiding these from me in a way, and I'm having to creatively, when I know something's wrong, I have to, when I get to it, I'll let you know what was wrong and what happened, all right? So we're going to start now, and we got these to go through the stock market, and we got them to go through finance, and now we're on genetics. Okay, so you start with AD, and that ends up being genetics of Alzheimer's disease, and there's multiple sources for the same thing, so they could hit a lot of things with that. And disclaimer, there's going to be some cerveza bug information on a lot of these links, a lot of the links. We don't believe in it, personally, and we're not trying to spread the fear. So view any of the cerveza bug information at your own discretion. Make that very clear. View that at your own discretion. We don't buy it. We're not going to buy it. And we're not going to propagate it. We'd eliminate those results if we could, but we can't because they're there. So it's just, it is what it is. So they're there. So if you move on from that, you get DN, and that ends up being the population genetics of DN/DS. And yeah, that has something to do with population genetics. But if you move on from that, you got DNO, which ends up being double nucleus organizer strain, and that's an RNA. That deals with RNA. If you move on from that, you got NOG, and that ends up being the NOG gene, and it's a protein coding gene. All right. OG then, if you move on from that, is OG Kush, and that's a marijuana strain. You also have OG genetics, and they deal with seed genetics, and they deal with marijuana. So marijuana is a thing that's in this search. All right. You move on from that, you have OGH, and OGH ends up being the OGH gene, and that is in mice. That deals with mice. All right. Move on from that, you got GH, and that ends up being GH1, gene growth hormone, and it's a protein coding gene. If you move on from that, you have GHT, which ends up being GHT, protein of Neisseria meningitis. I want to say meningitis, but there's an extra meningitis. Maybe that's how it's spelled. But if you move on from that, you got HT, and that ends up being HT gene. I didn't get what kind of a gene it was, but it's a gene. You move on from that, you have HTT, which ends up being HTT gene, and that deals with Huntington disease. Except I thought it was Huntington's disease, but it's Huntington disease, I guess. So that actually might be another Mandela effect in itself. But if you move on from that, you got TT, which ends up being MT-TT gene. So there's another gene. If you move on from that, you get TTH, which ends up being thrombotic, thromboitopenic, purpure. And that is a rare genetic disorder that causes blood clots. All right, if you move on from that, you get TPA, which ends up being tissue plasmagen activator, and it's a reporter gene. All right, if you move on from that, you got TP, which ends up being MT-TP gene, and you also get TP53 gene, and that's a protein coding gene. So there's more protein coding genes. All right, you move on from that, you got TTPA, and TTPA ends up being TTPA gene, and it's a protein coding gene. And I was doing that in order to, because I was wondering if we were going to find a quantum network suspect, because when one didn't show up in finance, and that was weird. Well, now I understand why one didn't show up in finance. So we're going to move on from that, and you have PA. Now we're in the overlap. I guess TTPA was in the overlap, but PA was in the overlap, and you get General Genetics Clinic, Penn Medicine. That's in Pennsylvania. You also get Genetics Children's Hospital of Pittsburgh, which is in Pennsylvania. So they can hit anything in Pennsylvania. They could calculate off of me if I were in Pennsylvania. All right, it doesn't even have to be in these categories. Any state, they can calculate anything in that state. So, in theory, anyway. So, move on from that, you have PAD, and PAD ends up being peripheral arterial disease. And that gets you through going forward, because now it's going to start to repeat. So, now we're coming back, and you start with PT, and that ends up being genetics and physical therapy, APTA. You move on from that, you got PTT, which ends up being protein truncation, protein truncation test. That deals with some sort of a genetic test. You move on from that, you get HG, which ends up being hypermesis gravidarium. I'm not real sure, but that's something to deal with genetics. Obviously, it got calculated. You move on from that, you got HGO, which ends up being human homogenigate 12 dioxygen ASE HGO gene. All right, all that to say HGO gene. Well, that's the long form of what it is. So if you move on from that, you have GO, and that ends up being Go Genetics, and that deals with show pigs. So it's pig genetics, and that kind of goes along with the forest stuff we got and the veterinary stuff we got before, right? All right. If you move on from that, you have GON, and that ends up being GON 2 and 14, two separate genes. If you move on from that, you have NDA, which is NIMH data archives. So that's a whole archive of data they can hit. But if you move on from that, you have ND, and that's where I got suspicious, guys. because I typed ND in genetics and got some stuff, but nothing to do with North Dakota. And I know that ND is North Dakota. All right. So I said, okay, that's weird. Maybe something's being hid from me. And I typed in North Dakota genetics, and the first thing that pops up is medical genetics, University of North Dakota. Okay. Then I typed University of North Dakota with finance, and also got it in finance. So now we have a quantum network suspect, just like that, the University of North Dakota. And it came up in finance too. But I think the algorithms are getting on to what I'm doing and making it harder for us to catch these things. All right. Now, normally, if we typed a state, a whole bunch of stuff come up in that state, but it was hiding North Dakota from me, as if I was supposed to not know that North Dakota was a state, right? And ND was I used to live in that area. Of course, ND is North Dakota. So I caught him trying to hide it from me. And that was ND. And then if you take AP, now you're in the overlap. It gives you, you end up getting heredity, AP biology at Khan Academy. So there's another university they can hit. And that gets you through going forwards and backwards in genetics. And we have a quantum network suspect, University of North Dakota. And that's the one thing it hid from me. So now we're going to have to catch on to that and specifically check the University of North Dakota, just like we specifically now have to check for stuff on the periodic table for atomic numbers, right? Because the algorithms aren't giving those to me in our chemical searches anymore. They're making it difficult. And I'm sure that's probably set up, it's happening on purpose. I'm sure of it, but that's the way it is. So as long as we're aware of it, and we're aware of what we're doing, and we're aware of certain things, then we can get around the algorithms trying to hide stuff from us. So that's what we had to do here in this case. So now we're gonna keep our eye on these guys, and I've started the medical, but I'm not done with it, and I don't know that I'll get done with it tomorrow, and I know that I won't be doing a video on Monday because I got some stuff to do Monday and I won't be here. So within the coming few days, I will try to come out with medical. Then we'll hit chemical. And, maybe we'll do I'll probably just search for the stuff on the periodic table right along with this, since it ain't very long, guys. And then we'll do laboratories and research groups and technology and random hits and translations. Then we'll convert them into numbers and go again. But right now, our number one suspect is North Dakota University for using the quantum network to make this change. We'll find out if we're right. Just like it hid Odisha or Tertiary Care Hospital in Odisha, India. And I had to go far out of my way to find that, right? Well, it seems like they're trying to hide some of these in the algorithms. But, now I know that's happening. So there's a lot of things that, that aren't coming up that used to come up when we did this. So that can only mean the algorithms are different, which means I'll have to be more on my toes to know when this stuff is being hidden. And I probably won't always know. I won't know enough to catch everything, guys. I just won't. So that's where I'm hoping you guys come in. Danny, Phoenix, maybe Pamela, Megan, if she's still out there. Anybody that follows along and, has helped us in the past might want to be on their toes and help us now, because the algorithms are set up so it's hiding some of this stuff. All right, I've ran this longer than I wanted to, and now I've explained why we haven't come out with a video in a few days, and I've explained why we probably won't come out with one for another few days. No, we're not sick. Not sick. The opposite of sick. We're doing stuff. We're trying to get stuff accomplished so that we have more time and more concentration, a better place to do this, among other things. So bear with us. So that's going to be it for this one. And for now, guys, thanks for all your thumbs up, thumbs down when appropriate. By the way, if you're still with me and you get anything out of these videos, please thumb up. I know this one ran longer than I wanted it to, but I had a couple things to explain as I did in the last video. And thanks for your comments, leads, feedback, and subscriptions, guys. And thanks for watching. And medical will be next. Again, probably not till at least Tuesday, unless I get lucky and am able to do it tomorrow. But if I don't get it done tomorrow, it ain't getting done Monday, no matter what. So, um, that's going to be it, guys. Thanks for watching. And for now, you guys have a great rest of your evening.